Welcome to Ciao Bella, hosted by me, Erica Firpo, a travel journalist based in Rome. Each episode of Ciao Bella, I sit down with Italy's creators, contemporary artists and artisans, designers, culinary experts, heritage brands, and innovative aesthetes, and more who are defining and redefining 21st century Italy. Pull up a chair and join in. Hey, welcome back to Ciao Bella. Today I'm in Montepulciano with
Michele Manelli
of Salcheto, which is a beautiful 58-hectare winery.
Correct.
Just a stone throw away from Montepulciano.
Yeah, exactly. How would you say? A flying? No, a jump away from Montepulciano.
Just a jump away, but we're not going to jump. We're just jumping into wine. So thanks for joining me. Here we go.
No, I came from Modena, but in fact I didn't come from Modena. When I was 12, my family moved to France, where they still live, all of them. I came back to Italy for my university in Milan, and then I started little by little moving south.
Wow!
I thought I would have been going more deep into south, but I stopped here, and I stayed and I rooted myself.
So you just, from carte blanche, decided to open a winery, or to acquire a winery?
I always like to say that I had three dreams as a kid: being a farmer, an entrepreneur, and a politician. And I fulfilled the three, all of them, because
farmer.
I'm a farmer and a
businessman,
because
and
when you're in wine, because I do a lot of active politics with everything that I contributed in the last decade, particularly in the wine Italian value chain for the sake of sustainability. I did quite a lot. I also worked in networks, also European level, and it's a lobby kind of politics, but had its results. So I'm satisfied. Yeah. I will actually, one of the things maybe we have the time to speak about is the Qualitas project. It's the standard, one of the most, it's considered probably the most advanced standard on wine sustainability. Was created based on this initiative that I founded in 2013 together with Professor Scienza, appointed by Gambero Rosso, Ionevini, and Federdoc. We did this project of a forum, putting together all the research teams, 34 among universities and different entities that were working on sustainability. We did 2 years of analysis, and we proposed this, with a book, basically. It was a report that was extremely deep. We proposed what we would need to go further to create a sustainability standard for wine for our industry. Federdoc and Ionevini, so two bodies which represent the Italian value chain of wine, picked the opportunity, and so we politically created also the harmony between the different entities. And so in 2015-16, Qualitas was created. It's a company.
Qualitas.
Owned by these the entities.
Oh, what I saw outside on the cartello.
Okay. And started to promote this super advanced standard in 2017-18. Today, it's finally taking off. There are nearly 50 already wineries that are certified
across Italy.
With some of them involve hundreds of farmers, because they are co-ops like Caviro, the number one co-op and number 2 winery in Italy is also already certified.
Wow.
Now. And they do a great job. It's not just a certification for the aesthetics. It's really that it needs to go very deep in your organization. And it's very complete. I'm currently the vice president of this body, and I'm in charge of my new research field in the last years has been social pillar of sustainability. after doing a lot on environment, I think we did a lot here at Salcheto in the first decade. I moved my my will to go further more on the social aspects, especially the labor dynamics, and so now this is my actually duty in Equalitas, is to try to push the standards and in general the
So I'm guessing that means fair wage.
Exactly, how do you call it? Equal opportunities in the value chain, or governance matters, or transparency in the management of work, or access for youngs to the labor market. When I arrived, first of all, we were in the 90s, and in the 90s, I was certainly bringing my personal values, which were definitely oriented to that kind of sensibility. Even though I've never been, and I still not consider myself an extremist of an eco-warrior, let's say, for example, at all. But I had a value. I needed to do something. I wanted to do something to protect, to preserve, to make the society and the environment better. It was really a need. When you're born, as I am, in the 70s, I mean, you are, or even in the 60s, 70s, you have really experienced how it deteriorated fast. When I was a kid, we were jumping in a river and swimming. When I was a young man, it was already impossible because it was polluted, it was disgusting. So just to make an example, I really have this in my mind, the idea that when we were kids, we were jumping in a river in northern Italy, in the super popular river, and we were swimming, and at some point this river became an enemy. And so it's a big difference, and then it's a shock. So those personal values, you would transmit them into your job, but it was not your priority. Your priority, and my priority here, was to make quality wine, to be an artisan of quality. That was the business model that was actually innovative still in the 90s. But I quickly understood that we could do something more. So within the movement of corporate social responsibility, we were starting to breathe and flare in the 90s, and we understood, many entrepreneurs understood that you could make a big jump. So the jump of not just doing a little nice thing for the system, for the society, but to become really the player who makes things become better. So that's what I say to the beginning. That's the real difference.
Just if you don't mind, for our listeners, I'd love for you to, in a nutshell, kind of, explain. I think a lot of people think of, we know that what organic vineyards are. We know what that means, but yours is a lot more comprehensive. And I just wish, in the sense that it's not simply that you're making organic wine. It goes far beyond that, as you were saying earlier. So I'm wondering, if you don't mind, just taking a second out after you eat your pappardelle. I'll keep talking, and then I'll put the bite in my mouth, and I'll stop talking. But if you could just describe the grander scope of Salcheto.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that we're very well aligned in considering that the scope is very wide, and so. The scope is to be sure that our agriculture is regenerative, as we like to say, to be sure that our the industrial part that is involved in winemaking, because winemaking is an heavy industry too. It needs to transform grape and bottle them, and involves a lot of raw materials and packagings and so on, and then distributes them worldwide. It's an heavy industry, and it's very big, also in terms of numbers. Consider that Europe only produces something like 26 billion bottles every year, the equivalent of that. So it's big. It's not. It's something heavy. So it has its impact. And anyway, just an example. consider that if we played with the numbers of 2013, back in time of world greenhouse gas emissions, 58% of the emissions that are yearly accounted worldwide comes from the production of, let's say, everyday consumption. So basically everything is happening in the businesses, in the firms, in the transformation businesses, the service businesses, because they're related, of course. So agriculture business, so that's where we have to act to change society, because there needs to be a new deal between the consumer and the producer. So coming back to my field, I am for an agriculture that measures its impact toward this international global phenomenon. So I have to account the gas oil that I put in the tractor. Am I efficient? Can I reduce it? For example. So this is exactly the approach. And it's the same when you get into the cellar. What am I doing with the cooling of my vats during the fermentation and all the fridge that I need to be involved? Can I do something better? Can I reduce? Can I find an alternative? Same for packaging. This bottle is simply the result of, because when we talk about Salcheto being the first to make a carbon footprint, and I don't want to talk 2 hours about carbon footprint because it's not the only problem. Climate is not the only problem, okay? But it's a significant one. And but this is a great example, because in 2009, when we made the first carbon footprint, we were already building the new cellar. And we were thinking that the big new cellar was the real change and the real, innovation that would create a revolution. The energy independent cellar. You know what we found out? That the bottle was more impactful than the cellar. The production of the glass bottle.
That's crazy. Amazing. Who would have known?
Who would know?
Yeah, exactly.
So we found out that 32% of the problem was the bottle, and only 17 was the cellar. Just to give you an example. So what was interesting, and that's the good part of the monitoring and of the transformation of the paradigm. The paradigm is I find the problem, and now that I'm conscious, I can find a solution. We took 3 years, and we tried the bag-in-box, we tried alternatives. It was not possible for every product. It was difficult for the market, blah, blah, blah. We found a local producer making a lighter bottle, and we reduced, that was reducing just in the 32% of over 60%. So wow. Just to give you the numbers. So that's exactly the good example of how we have to approach the problem. We have to continuously monitor within a global framework to be able to see the critical aspects and try to find solutions to always get better. This is true for, I repeat, global warming. It's true for biodiversity losses. It's true for water waste. And now it's also true because again, we are systems that need to also be resilient economically, so we have to also grow the quality of the economical approach to the problem. But again, the real challenge now is also to make this become more virtuous in terms of social dimension. So the way businesses interact with their workers, the way businesses interact with their communities where they stand on. This is the view. It was not short, I'm sorry.
I just feel bad for your pasta.
Wow. So explain to me again why you're neo-natural.
We are neo-natural because we wanted to fulfill the expectation of our consumer toward transparency on the one hand. So we definitely wanted to explore a way of winemaking without any addition. So we were already took out the selected this and we got indigenous. We started to take away sulfur from the fermentation. But we were still related to the sulfur during the aging and the refinement because of its capacity to address bacterially the wine in a certain direction that was preserving only the fruit in the nose. And rather than in the other direction where you don't use sulfur because sulfur is really what makes the great difference, you were getting oxidations like from bread crust aromatics. I'm just making some examples. The reduction with like a butane gas or a petrol or smoky aromatics, or again the volatile acidities that are bringing acetic notes, balsamic notes, but also sapidity, or again the famous Brett, this yeast that is bacteria yeast that brings this stable aromatic. These aromatics that have been called, I think, wrongly defaults for a long time, have been called out by the naturalists saying, no, this is the true aromatic. I don't consider this true aromatic. I just consider it an aromatic that combined with the fruit and the terroir can be very funny and pleasant. So that's why I want to be the neo-natural, because I think that we have to be clear in saying that these are not, that they cannot overwhelm the fruit. They need to be beside the fruit and create a diversity and a liveliness in the one, because the liveliness is crazy, because you can never predict what you're going to get. You can get a little bit more of this or aromatic or the other one, and this is also a liveliness. But I don't accept the idea that it is the purpose. It's just one of the means, but it must be inserted in a greater picture.
Because we're in Montepulciano, beautiful, beautiful area in Tuscany. Yes. And I think,
Come on with you, right?
yeah, come on.
It looks nice.
It looks nice, right? And I think, everybody loves Italy. Everybody loves Montepulciano. But I think that one of the funny things about Montepulciano is Vino Nobile. What do people know about it? So I want you to tell us a little bit about Vino Nobile and then about your wine.
First of all, let me say that Vino Nobile is in Tuscany.
Okay, good one.
It's a good one, because as you know, Montepulciano, the city where we are standing now, is one of the most historical wine city of Italy, historically. But since it was so popular, it's actually a victim of his long time fame, because considered in the 1700s, it was considered a school of quality wine for all Italy. And it gave inspiration to other areas, for instance, to Abruzzo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to make it simple, but there are interesting research who supports this explanation, this vision. But it is quite clear that when viticulture started in Abruzzo, in the internal, in Sulmona, in the Apennines, it was connected to Tuscany and connected to the Medici. Wow. And when it slowly, during 1800s, developed and moved to the coast, where today we see a big heavy industry, it started to be named the Montepulciano in Abruzzo. Not because of a vineyard, of a vine or a connection, but because of an inspiration, of a dedicated idea of quality to Montepulciano. So imagine how cool we were.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, of course, it's creating a short circuit, because we are small and not popular, because we didn't grab the good train or early enough after in the 70s, 80s, and because there was a lot of wine production in Montepulciano, much more than in Montalcino, to make an example. And I don't make this example by chance, because Montalcino is the world most famous wine in Tuscany and one of the top of Italy. But the story of viticulture started there in the 80s, 90s, when here it was already established, but it was established in a more popular way, let's be honest. So even though there was a great tradition, there was some producer who picked this great know-how and actually made the first DOCG of Italy. The first DOC and DOCG was Montepulciano, but it was a small representation. The bigger numbers were still on quantity and not quality. So in this era, Montepulciano didn't catch the train. And so at some point, when the Abruzzo became a large producer, popular worldwide for his nice, fresh, fruity young wines, we got squeezed, at least in terms of name confusion. So first thing, we are in Tuscany. Second thing is that we have this great long history, and this is a value because it brings you information. So when I arrived here in the 90s, I already found an incredible amount of information, qualified information to start my own operation, because that's the fruit of history. And thirdly, let me say that the terroir is really interesting for Sangiovese, and especially for where the trends of taste are going. Because to make a simple comparison, I think we are the more Burgundian among the Tuscan great wines. Because we are, due to the clay soils, due to the more continental climatic, due to the influence of the Trasimeno Lake, which is just behind that hill, we get to maybe a smaller body, so we are less concentrated in terms of phenolics than, for example, Montepulciano, but we have an incredible balance between alcohol and acidity, and in general a more supported acidity, which is going to be at the backbone of our wine and the backbone of freshness in the glass. So this, I think, is the key to read. It's more on the elegance, so more on the deepness than on the largeness, and it's always very fresh and well supported by acidity. So this is also making it a great pair with food, even greater than other Sangiovese. And then there are little nuances which are part from the terroir, part from the people, because people are also part of the terroir, which is the use of less wood, so keeping the fragrance of the fruit, because also we don't need it. And the hint of minerality, this saltiness in the mouth, but also this earthiness in the nose. It's actually this, we could call it minerality. So it's a characteristic that is pleasant. So again, it is a kind of wine style that is very contemporary. So Montepulciano is very versatile, but intriguing at the same time. That's the idea of, and I think Vino Nobile has great chances to be successful, also by its price, because compared to Brunello, we are half the price, and I don't want to make the challenge with Brunello. Brunello remains what it is. Montepulciano doesn't need and should not aim to be Brunello. Brunello is Brunello. In my opinion, the position of Montepulciano is more of more of a living wine, of a union wine, of a wine for a meal, of a wine of elegance and quality. I'm not saying pop, whatever experience, which is appreciated, which I do with other wines, but not in Vino Nobile. Okay, nothing against the pop either. But Vino Nobile should just have this idea of elegant around the table, wine that puts together people because it's not because it's understandable, even though it's quality. This is the approach of Montepulciano. I think it can have this place. In Salco, which is the mature vineyard still today, I want to express definitely a quality which is a little bit more classic. So a little bit more. I want to express a little bit more the verticality of Sangiovese. I want to. How can I say, close maybe with a slight bitterness, but of course also bring out this freshness and minerality a lot. So I'm not saying that I didn't try to attempt to ease the wine up, because when I say contemporary, I said contemporary before a few times. I think that being contemporary in the taste is also trying to listen a little bit more to the expectation of the consumers, because that's what we didn't do in the 90s and the 2000s. The winemakers were doing the sublime quality as they thought, like the elite thought the quality. And it was a way to probably also make people dream, and it was a good start for the quality wine evolution. But the consumers started quickly to say, you know what, your words, your theories, it's fun, but I'm not having fun. I want for example, softness. I want, for example, sometimes more meatiness. I want this and that. I don't know. And so, in this sense, I have tried also to listen to this expectation. And so I say, and so in this sense, the Salco wants to look a little bit more to this classic idea, more personality in this sense. The Nobile wants to be intriguing, but a little bit more listening to everybody.
It's a pretty way to describe them. Salcheto, what does that mean?
Salcheto is the name of a creek bordering the winery from the foot of the town of Montepulciano. It starts, digs this valley, goes all the way to the Montepulciano lake, which is in the middle of the Chiana Valley. And it's probably related to the name Salco, the other wine name, which is a way to call the willow tree in ancient Tuscan. The willow tree was abounding. It's a tree that likes water, so it was abounding along this creek, and it's a tree that has a connection with the wine territories, because with the branches of the willow tree, which are flexible, you would tie up the vines to the plots. Until 20, not anymore 20. It was 20 when I was starting. It was 40 years ago. And so so these are the connections. Salcheto, because Salcheto was probably the creek of the Salcos, the willow trees.
Okay.
Salco, these are the connections.
My other question is, there's so many beautiful bottles and shapes. Would you recommend to us,
a bigger one?
Yeah, because
3 liter.
Yeah.
Do you want to take it?
No.
So the reason why he's bringing this up. Tell him why you're bringing this up.
Tell me.
He's bringing it up because I brought him a Magnum of wine, and we had a great dinner with friends, and we had brought out the Magnum, and it was perfect. And so then he was like, "We should only have big bottles of wine." And I said, "That's a good thing to think about."
No, the large formats are beautiful in every sense, because they are joy, they are like the abundance, party, quality, because of the idea of that was the word, sharing. Sharing. I think since we are the sharing in theory society, I think Nobile is a sharing product. And big bottles are also sharing. Because big bottles cannot be for one person.
No, in fact, that's what it was great. We had, the only time we've had people in our house this entire year for 12 months, we had Julia, right? It was Julia.
It was like family.
It was Julia. She's our babysitter, our daughter, but not really our daughter. We love her so much. So we ate outside on the terrace. We had a big bottle, and it was great because it was really easy. But I guess also they have probably less of a carbon footprint too, because they're big format.
Yeah, true. Less carbon footprint, and then less oxygen per bottle.
Okay.
So you have an evolution which is slower during the years of refinement. And this is what typically makes the big bottles fancier, because they can be, in theory, lasting for long. This is more true. It's something that we consider for every kind of wine, the prestige of the big bottle. But in fact, it is really true only for champagne, to be clear.
Oh.
Yeah, because there, the disproportion also related to the liqueur d'expédition, so the addition that is made during the gorgement is making a much bigger difference in the evolution. In the red wines, it can be discussable, because sometimes a higher quantity of oxygen can be more balanced for the evolution of the wine. So what I want to say is that the myth is bigger, better.
Yeah, that's what I always heard.
And so let's keep the meat. I don't want to, but with the top red wines, it's not really true.
You know what I just realized? I have two
Bigger is better just because it's more fun.
I was looking on your website, and if I'm not mistaken, on the website, is it possible that you can put in
Yeah,
your
you can-
location
yeah.
and see the carbon
Yeah.
footprint. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a project I did in 2012, and because it was compelling with the same idea of, you have to make a deal with the consumer, and considering that we are, and the deal can also be a deal of transparency. Oh yeah. It's interesting because considering the deal of transparency is, I know I have an impact, and by the way, this can be embarrassing, especially if you consider, for example, in our market that we sell wine worldwide, and we sell also wine in places where there is already wine. So, for example, imagine how can I be sustainable in selling a bottle of wine in California? Because California is one of the most impactful destination in terms of transportation. So, because it's really one of the most impactful destinations, because you have to go to New Jersey and transport by truck, typically. That's all the way to California. But anyway, and there is a local comparison, because you have wine in Napa, Sonoma, whatever. So but actually that was my communication. I did this communication in 2012 when we launched this. It was we looked for testimonials around the world, and we were trying to show two things. The first thing we wanted to show is that, okay, now that I know what's the impact, if it's really worth it, I can offset. For example, the testimonial in San Francisco was a wine guy who said, okay, today I want to drink a bottle of Nobile. I know it's more tot kilo compared to Napa. For the next 3 days, I go to work with the bicycle.
Oh, I like that.
Awesome.
It's nice, no?
Yeah,
and then the other.
So we should be walking home.
Listen, I'm sorry. No, but you live in Rome. It's okay. And you came here to drink the wine, so it's okay.
Okay, that's right. We came here.
And this was actually a key thing, because you were actually proposing the right dynamic. I need to be responsible of my behavior, but I can also find a solution. And on the other hand, there was a great concept, is quality, because honestly, it's useless. It's really useless, period, to drink a bad wine from Italy in California.
Yeah.
You have a bad wine, you can find a bad wine even in California.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you really have to go for the thing. At least look for a good bottle.
That's a great point. Okay, so we don't have to walk home. I was a little worried. But we only ride bicycles anyway. So you founded this basically 25 years ago. How old were you?
When I started, I was in my 20s. I was 22, 23.
Wow, that's really young.
Yeah.
I mean, how was that in Montepulciano, or in Tuscany, to be so young at a winery?
Well, at the time it was easy, because there was so much growth that you could make a lot of mistakes and not pay the bill. So that,
Nice.
But if I think about it now, it was harder to be credible.
Yeah.
A little harder.
So you live here as well?
Yep.
And when I was walking around, I noticed.
Not at the winery anymore, but I used to live here the first years.
Okay, but in the area, I guess. I noticed that there's that rectangular structure is the compost. Is that where it says Salcheto?
No, that's depuration.
Oh, that's for the water. Oh, okay. And I saw all the holes, not that there's like mini pods to let the natural light come into.
Oh yes. This is everything that you see on the terrace is light conveyors.
Because what I read is that your cantina. So I read it. I heard it called off-grid cantina, and that it's
In
all
fact, the correct thing would be off-griddable.
off-griddable.
Yeah, in the sense that we could have, cut the connection totally. We cut from gas but we didn't cut the electricity because at the time, since the line was already set, so we had already an electricity supply. We are using the grid as a storage for our renewable ones.
Oh.
Because if you want to cut completely, you have to put some batteries so that the electricity that you produce during the day you can use it
To store
or
it, yeah.
anyway you can balance flexibility that you need. In our case, the flexibility is done by exchanging with the grid, which is also efficient, of course, more efficient in a way. But at the time, it was really impossible. We couldn't going off grid in 2008 would have been really a jump in really troubles and big cost, and the batteries were not the same technology as of today. Today you have better technology on batteries, so you could do it more easily. But it does no sense. We have the grid, so we can exchange. We produce and sell to the grid, and we rebuy from the grid. So it's the same. So that's why I say off-gridable, because even the off-grid concept is not a codified concept. So, when at the time we started the off-grid project, we joined with a group of young, crazy entrepreneurs and researchers that were looking to create the off-grid house. And they actually did, at an experimental level. Then they reconverted this expertise into the off-grid box, which is a container that you can buy to try to create more independency on your house. Or if you are like in an extreme location, for example, they sell this a lot to some villages in very, very wild and underdeveloped areas of Africa, or to humanitarian projects, ONGs that need to create a camp. So the off-grid box is a box which inside you have everything to create electricity, clean water, heating. So if you connect it to your house in a garden, it can become a way of creating. But I repeat, even then, they are using it as it has application in an extreme situation. Here, where you have the grids, it doesn't make sense to cut from the grids for water, because again, we recycle 100% of our water, but it doesn't make any sense
To cut completely. I like that expression, off-griddable. I think that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, in fact, we started with the off-griddable because the off-grid was very clear as a message, but the off-grid never and will probably never become a reality in urbanized areas like we are. So basically, the concept that we try to represent is energy independency.
How would you describe the off-griddable, like the energy that we're seeing being used here? This is all, it's all natural energy, it's all solar?
Self-produced, yes.
It's all self-produced energy. Yes. So everything, and all the water is recycled?
Yes. And also, and as I say, I think, again, the energy independency means that you produce your energy by renewables, and of course, it would be suitable to be able to produce your energy by also considering savings, because I think that there will be, at the moment, it's too sophisticated, but I think that we will need to also qualify for an independency that is based first on savings, because the cleanest energy existing is the one that you don't consume. That's so the light conveyors, the passive climate that we have in the cellar, this is the cleanest energy. But this was the first approach. The first approach is where can we save? And so from there you can start on how can I produce what I need. And again, there is another further dimension that was very interesting at the time, is when I produce, I should also make comparison on how efficient is the energy I produce. I'll make an example. I have a lot of wood waste, the pruning, for example. So I could do one thing, is I produce a lot of heat I convert it in, when I need heat, I take it from there. But if I need electricity, I convert heat in electricity. If I need cool, I convert electricity in cool. You have a lot of losses compared to the original energy that you have generated and consumed at the first step. Instead, what, for example, we did at the time was to try to say, okay, heat, we need heat, we create heat. We need cold, we create direct cold. We need electricity, we create electricity. No crossing, because there is a pyramid. The pyramid is electricity is on top, and you can do everything with that without losing. But in the sense of the value of the kilowatt. But as soon as you start moving around from the pyramid from down up, you start to lose efficiency. Okay, in this, and I'm not criticizing. If you have a ton of waste and you use it because your waste is always there and you don't know what to do, I think it's already an efficiency. Don't make me wrong. But this is also another dimension. So what I'm saying is that there are no rules that are really always working everywhere for everybody. There is a kind of what in Italian we would call, actually, help me with the translation, buon senso.
Good sense?
Good sense,
No,
common
no,
sense,
no.
good
Common sense. Common sense.
This common sense teaches us that we need to always relate what we do or what we think to our specific condition. What are important are the rules. Again, come back to the famous rules on how we parameter, measure, communicate in transparency, blah, blah, blah. This, I think, is even more important than if I choose one solution more than another. It's the way I rate and measure this solution compared to the global problem. Because we're always connected to a global problem anyway.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ciao Bella. If you'd like to know more about today's guest, please visit ciaobella.co and click on the podcast link, or go directly to ciaobella.co/podcast. Want more Italy? You can find all my episodes on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher. When you have time, subscribe to iTunes and rate the podcast. What are you waiting for? And if you want to be part of the podcast, email me or DM me your Italy questions. To learn more about me and my work, go to my website, ericafirpo.com, and follow my Italy adventures on Instagram at ericafirpo. Ciao, Bella! And a very big thank you and hug to Massimiliano Yonta and Disc to Disc Studios, the producers of Ciao Bella, who continue to make me sound and feel great.